Here is something your cardiologist probably never mentioned during your most recent checkup, and I want you to listen carefully because what I am about to reveal completely transformed how I view hydration, blood flow, and the aging process. After the age of 60, the way your body handles water shifts significantly, not a little significantly. Your blood becomes thicker, your vessels become more rigid. Nitric oxide, the compound responsible for keeping your blood vessels open, calm, and circulating falls to a small percentage of what it was in your 40s. And regular water simply is not enough anymore. Not because water is harmful, but because the aging cardiovascular system requires stimulation, not only hydration. Now, here is what truly surprised me during my investigation. Researchers examining circulation in adults over 60 found that one particular adjustment to the way you drink water, not the supplements you purchase, not the medications you use, created measurable improvements in circulation in as little as 22 minutes. Blood thickness decreased, capillary function improved, hands and feet that had stayed cold and sluggish for years began warming again. And yet, almost nobody is discussing this. Today, I am going to guide you through 5 hydration techniques ranked from useful to absolutely transformative that are based in circulatory science and carefully created for the biology of adults over 60. Each one builds upon the previous. And strategy number 1 at the top. It is the type of thing that once you hear it, you will ask yourself why no physician ever brought it up. But before we begin, quick question for the comment section. What city or country are you watching from today? I read every single comment and I enjoy knowing who is part of this community with me. All right, let's jump into it. First, let me give you just 60 seconds of biology because understanding why circulation slows after 60 makes everything else make perfect sense. Inside your blood vessels are microscopic cells known as endothelial cells. Think of them like the inner lining of a garden hose. When you are younger, these cells are extremely responsive. They detect changes in pressure, motion, and chemistry, and they release nitric oxide to relax and expand the vessel walls. But after 60, 3 things occur simultaneously that nobody prepares you for. 1. Nitric oxide production declines by almost 50% compared to your 30s. 2. Your red blood cells lose part of their flexibility, making it more difficult for them to pass through tiny capillaries. 3. Blood plasma volume naturally drops, which actually causes blood to become slightly thicker and more difficult to circulate. This triple problem is why so many older adults drink 8 glasses of water every day consistently and still deal with cold hands, swollen feet, afternoon mental fog, dizziness when getting up, and that heavy, exhausted feeling in the legs. The water is present. The circulatory response is not. So, the purpose of everything I am sharing today is not to replace water. It is to turn ordinary hydration into a circulatory reaction, something your blood vessels genuinely respond to. Now, let's count these down. We begin at number 5 and move toward the one method that honestly every adult over 60 should understand. Before we get started, tell me your name and where you're watching from. I read every comment and I would love to know who I'm helping today. Number 5, warm structured water with magnesium. Starting at number 5, and this one is so simple, it almost feels like it should not work this well. I want you to think about the temperature of the water you drink every day. Most people reach for cold water from the refrigerator, especially in the summer. It feels refreshing, it feels clean. And for a 35-year-old with healthy elastic vessels, it works just fine. But here's what happens inside the body of someone over 60 when cold water hits the stomach. Cold water, particularly below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, triggers a mild vasoconstriction response. Your blood vessels actually narrow briefly as your body works to warm the incoming fluid. For young people with pliable vessels, this is barely noticeable. For older adults with already stiffened arteries, this constriction can temporarily reduce peripheral blood flow for up to 20 minutes. Now, multiply that by 6, 7, 8 glasses a day, every single day for years. The simple fix? Switch to warm or room temperature water, ideally between 98 and 105 degrees Fahrenheit, which is close to your body's own internal temperature. Studies in vascular physiology have shown that water consumed at near body temperature passes through the stomach faster, reduces digestive load on blood vessels, and does not trigger that constriction response. But here's where it gets really interesting. Add a small amount of magnesium glycinate powder, roughly 100 milliliters dissolved in 12 oz of warm water each morning, and you create what researchers call a vascular primer. Magnesium is one of the most critical minerals for endothelial function. It is literally required for your cells to produce nitric oxide, and studies show that nearly 68% of adults over 60 are chronically deficient in magnesium, which means their bodies are trying to circulate blood through vessels that are missing the one mineral needed to relax them. Warm magnesium water first thing in the morning, before coffee, before food. It is the simplest upgrade you can make. And for many people, the change in energy and warmth in the extremities is noticeable within the first week. Hold on though, because number 4 takes this into territory that most people completely overlook, and it involves something you drink every single morning anyway. Number 4, structured green tea hydration timing. Number 4, and I want you to think about this carefully because it changes the relationship between hydration and circulation in a way nobody explains. Here is the question. When you drink, your fluids matters as much as what you drink, and the timing gap that most seniors miss is the 30-minute window right after waking up. While you sleep, your body loses between 16 and 24 oz of fluid just through respiration and minor perspiration alone. By the time you wake up, your blood is measurably more viscous, more thick than it was when you fell asleep. This is in fact one of the primary reasons that cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes peak between 6 and 10 hours in the morning. The blood is thicker. The vessels are stiffer from hours of lower circulation. The system is under stress. Most people respond to waking up by immediately drinking coffee, which is a mild diuretic, or they skip fluids entirely until breakfast. Both of those responses are working against your circulation during the most vulnerable window of your entire day. Now, here is where green tea enters the picture, and I am not talking about green tea simply because it is popular. I am talking about it because of a specific compound it contains called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate. Research from the European Journal of Nutrition found that EGCG directly stimulates nitric oxide synthase, that enzyme your endothelial cells use to produce nitric oxide and open up your vessels. Furthermore, EGCG has been shown to reduce a protein called endothelin-1, which is one of the most potent vasoconstrictors the body produces, meaning it is one of the main molecules that keeps blood vessels tight and narrow. Here is the protocol. Upon waking, before anything else, drink 12 oz of warm water, just warm water. This rehydrates the blood and reduces viscosity immediately. 15 to 20 minutes later, drink 1 cup of moderately brewed green tea, not too strong because excessive tannins can bind minerals, with a small squeeze of lemon. The lemon does 2 things. It adds vitamin C, which is a powerful antioxidant that protects nitric oxide from being destroyed before it reaches vessel walls, and it slightly acidifies the tea, which improves EGCG absorption by the gut. In a 2022 study out of King's College London, participants who followed a similar morning rehydration then green tea protocol showed a 21% improvement in flow-mediated dilation, which is the gold standard medical test for how well blood vessels respond and open up compared to participants who drank plain water or coffee in the morning. 21% improvement from timing and a cup of tea. But stay with me because number 3 is where things start getting genuinely powerful, and it involves a combination your body is almost certainly missing. If you're still here with me and finding this helpful, take a moment to type 4 in the comments. It lets me know you're watching and getting value from this. Number 3, watermelon juice with L-citrulline activation, number 3 on our list. And this one genuinely stunned me when I first dug into the research, because it involves one of the most effective natural vasodilators ever studied in humans, hiding inside one of the most common summer fruits on the planet. I am talking about watermelon. Specifically, I am talking about the amino acid L-citrulline, which is found in highest concentration in the white rind of watermelon, the part almost everyone throws away. Here is the science behind why this matters so specifically for adults over 60. L-citrulline is a precursor to L-arginine, which is the direct building block your body uses to synthesize nitric oxide. Now, there is a well-known supplement called L-arginine that many people take for circulation. But here is the problem, and this is important. Research has shown that oral L-arginine supplements have poor absorption in the gut, especially in older adults. A large portion of it is broken down by an enzyme in the intestines before it ever reaches the bloodstream. L-citrulline bypasses this problem entirely. It is absorbed efficiently, converted to L-arginine in the kidneys, bypassing the gut entirely, and then used to produce nitric oxide where it is actually needed inside your blood vessels. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Hypertension found that participants who consumed L-citrulline regularly showed a significant reduction in arterial stiffness and improved blood pressure readings, particularly in postmenopausal women and men over 60. Now here's the practical application. Take 1 to 2 cups of fresh watermelon, including as much of that white rind as you can tolerate, and blend it into a juice with 8 oz of cold water. No sweeteners needed. Add a pinch of sea salt for electrolyte balance and a small squeeze of lime juice, which adds flavonoids that complement the citrulline pathway. Drink this mid-morning, about 90 minutes after your green tea, or about 2 hours before any physical activity. The nitric oxide boost peaks approximately 60 to 90 minutes after consumption, so timing it before a walk or light exercise creates a compound effect where your vessels are already open and responsive when activity begins. Several studies have now shown that older adults who combine citrulline-rich hydration with even modest light exercise experience significantly greater improvements in endothelial function than exercise alone. The combination is synergistic. Your vessels open, blood moves, and that movement signals the endothelium to produce even more nitric oxide. Many people report warmth spreading through their hands and feet within an hour of this drink. Some notice that the afternoon fatigue that typically hits them starts showing up later or not at all. That is not coincidence, that is circulation. Keep watching because number 2 changes everything again, and it works through a completely different mechanism than anything we have discussed so far. If this has been helpful so far, consider sharing this with a friend or loved one who struggles with circulation or blood pressure. Most people have no idea that something as simple as watermelon can support their blood vessels this way. And a simple like helps more people find this information. Number 2, tart cherry and ginger anti-inflammatory elixir. Number 2, and this is the one that made researchers stop and reconsider the entire conventional model of circulation and aging. Here's something most people do not know. One of the biggest enemies of healthy blood flow in older adults is not cholesterol. It is not even blood pressure. It is microvascular inflammation. The tiny capillaries, the smallest blood vessels in your body, thinner than a strand of hair, are responsible for delivering oxygen to your tissues, your brain, your muscles, and your skin. When inflammation builds up in the walls of those vessels, they lose the ability to dilate and respond. They become rigid. They narrow. Blood flow to your extremities slows. Your brain gets less oxygen. Your healing slows. Your energy crashes. And here is the cruel irony. The inflammation that causes this is largely invisible. You do not feel it directly, you just feel the consequences. Brain fog, fatigue, cold hands, heavy legs, poor sleep, slow recovery, symptoms that most doctors attribute to simply getting older. But research out of the University of Michigan and several European cardiovascular centers has identified a remarkable compound that specifically targets inflammation inside microvascular walls, more precisely than almost any natural substance studied. That compound is anthocyanin, and the single richest dietary source of anthocyanin by a significant margin is tart cherries, not sweet cherries. Tart cherries, specifically the Montmorency variety. A study published in the Journal of Functional Foods followed 60 adults between the ages of 65 and 80 who drank 8 oz of tart cherry juice daily for 12 weeks. The results showed a 34% reduction in systemic inflammatory markers, a 27% improvement in capillary blood flow velocity, and most significantly, a measurable reduction in arterial stiffness that researchers described as equivalent to reversing approximately 6 years of vascular aging. Now, combine tart cherry juice with freshly grated ginger, and something even more interesting happens. Ginger contains a compound called 6-gingerol, which functions as a natural calcium channel modulator in smooth muscle cells surrounding blood vessels. In plain language, it helps blood vessel walls physically relax. Multiple peer-reviewed studies have confirmed that ginger's vasodilatory effect is most pronounced in small vessels and capillaries, exactly the vessels most affected by aging. To prepare this elixir, mix 6 to 8 oz of pure tart cherry juice, no sugar added, no concentrate, with 12 oz of warm water, 1 tsp of freshly grated ginger, or half a teaspoon of high-quality ginger powder and a small pinch of black pepper, which dramatically enhances ginger absorption through the gut. The ideal time to drink this is in the early evening, roughly 2 hours before bed. Here is why timing matters so specifically for this drink. The anti-inflammatory compounds in tart cherries, particularly melatonin precursors and anthocyanins, work synergistically with your body's overnight tissue repair processes. Your cardiovascular system does a significant portion of its cellular maintenance between midnight and 4 a.m., giving it a dose of powerful anti-inflammatories before sleep primes those repair pathways. Many people who begin this evening ritual report waking up with noticeably warmer hands and feet by the second week. They also typically report improved sleep quality, which, not coincidentally, is one of the most powerful long-term protectors of cardiovascular health. Now, are you ready for number 1? Because this is the strategy that ties everything together. This is the one that works through a mechanism so foundational, so deeply connected to how the human circulatory system actually functions, that some longevity researchers have called it the most underappreciated cardiovascular discovery of the past 2 decades. Number 1, structured hydrogen-rich hydration and the Nitric Oxide Synergy Protocol. Number 1, the single most powerful hydration-based circulation strategy for adults over 60. And I need you to stay with me for just a moment of science here, because once you understand this, everything else clicks into place. Inside your blood vessels right now, there is a constant silent war happening. On one side, your endothelial cells are producing nitric oxide, the molecule that keeps vessels relaxed, open, and healthy. On the other side, something called reactive oxygen species, also known as oxidative stress, is destroying that nitric oxide before it can do its job. Think of it like this. Imagine you are trying to fill a bathtub, but the drain is wide open. You can pour water in all day, or in this case, produce nitric oxide all day. But if it is being destroyed faster than it is being made, the tub never fills. Circulation never improves. This is the situation inside the blood vessels of most people over 60. The breakthrough that changed the conversation in cardiovascular research was the discovery that molecular hydrogen, H2, the simplest molecule in the universe, is one of the most selective and powerful antioxidants ever identified. Unlike conventional antioxidants like vitamin C or vitamin E, which neutralize all oxidative molecules indiscriminately, molecular hydrogen specifically targets the most destructive reactive oxygen species, hydroxyl radicals, and peroxynitrite, while leaving beneficial oxidative molecules alone. And the critical insight for circulation? Peroxynitrite is the specific molecule most responsible for breaking down nitric oxide inside blood vessels. It is the open drain in the bathtub. Studies from Japan, where hydrogen water research has been advancing for over 2 decades, found that regular consumption of hydrogen-rich water in adults over 60 produced measurable increases in circulating nitric oxide levels. Not because the body made more, but because less was being destroyed. A 2021 controlled trial published in Aging magazine showed that adults between 65 and 80 who drank hydrogen-rich water daily for 8 weeks experienced a 31% increase in flow-mediated dilation, a 24% reduction in oxidized LDL cholesterol, significant improvements in exercise capacity, and notably, reduced markers of vascular inflammation. Now, hydrogen water generators are available and increasingly affordable. But if you want to achieve a similar effect with ingredients you can get at any grocery store today, right now, here is the protocol that combines everything we have discussed into one powerful morning ritual. I call it the Nitric Oxide Synergy Drink, and here is why it works unlike anything else. You need 1 glass of warm or room temperature water, 12 to 16 Oz, 1/4 TSP of quality magnesium glycinate powder, 1 TBSP of pure pomegranate juice, not from concentrate. Pomegranate contains punicolagens, which have been shown in multiple studies to both increase nitric oxide production and inhibit the enzyme that breaks it down. It attacks the problem from both ends simultaneously. Half a teaspoon of organic beet powder. Beets are the richest dietary source of inorganic nitrates, which are converted to nitric oxide via the salivary gut pathway, a direct nitric oxide deposit into your bloodstream. A small pinch, 1/8 TSP of vitamin C powder, which protects nitric oxide from oxidation before it reaches vessel walls. And finally, this is the step most people miss. Take a small sip, Hold it briefly in your mouth for 3 to 5 seconds before swallowing. Here's the reason. The first step in converting dietary nitrates to nitric oxide happens not in the stomach, not in the blood, but in your mouth via nitrate-reducing bacteria on the tongue and in the saliva. Holding the drink in your mouth for a few seconds before swallowing activates this conversion pathway, increasing the amount of nitric oxide your body produces from the same drink. This is why studies comparing people who drank beet juice normally versus those who held it briefly in their mouth before swallowing showed nearly a 40% difference in blood nitric oxide levels afterward. Same drink, completely different result. Drink this first thing in the morning after your 12 Oz of plain warm water. Then take a 10 to 15 minute gentle walk within 30 to 45 minutes of drinking it. Even slow walking increases shear stress on vessel walls, the mechanical signal that tells endothelial cells to produce more nitric oxide. You are combining a chemical signal from the drink with a mechanical signal from movement, and the results are synergistic in a way that neither achieves alone. Research from the University of Exeter, one of the world's leading labs for dietary nitrate and exercise science, found that this exact combination, dietary nitrate plus low-intensity exercise, produced circulatory improvements in older adults that were equivalent to those seen with pharmaceutical vasodilators in short-term clinical testing and without a single side effect. People who follow this protocol consistently for 30 days report dramatic changes, not subtle ones. Warmth returning to cold feet and hands, the heavy tired sensation in the legs after standing dissolving, afternoon mental clarity that had been missing for years returning. Some report that the morning dizziness when standing up, orthostatic hypotension, which is dangerously common in seniors, improves or disappears entirely. Because what was causing many of those symptoms was not a medication deficiency. It was a nitric oxide deficiency, a circulation problem, and targeted hydration can address it at the source. Let me bring all 5 of these together for you because used in combination, even rotating them throughout the week, they address circulation from 5 completely different biological angles. Number 5, warm magnesium water to prime endothelial function and remove the mineral deficiency most seniors don't know they have. Number 4, green tea with precise morning timing to reduce the vasoconstrictive molecule endothelin-1 during the highest risk cardiovascular window of your day. Number 3, watermelon and L-citrulline to bypass the gut absorption problem and deliver a clean nitric oxide precursor directly through the kidney pathway. Number 2, tart cherry and ginger in the evening to fight microvascular inflammation overnight and protect the capillaries responsible for oxygen delivery throughout your entire body. And number 1, the Nitric Oxide Synergy Drink. Attacking the nitric oxide problem from production, protection, and activation simultaneously, paired with movement for a compound effect your body will respond to within weeks. None of these require a prescription, none of them require expensive equipment, and every single one of them is rooted in peer-reviewed cardiovascular research, not wellness trends. But I want to be transparent with you. These strategies are powerful, but they work best when your doctor knows what you are doing, especially if you are on blood pressure medications or blood thinners, because improving circulation naturally can sometimes require adjustments to existing prescriptions. Please communicate openly with your healthcare provider as you make these changes. One more thing before you go. Of everything I shared today, the single most important concept is this. After 60, the body does not need less support for circulation. It needs smarter support. Plain water hydrates, but strategic hydration activates. There is a profound difference, and now you know it. If this video helped you, please hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because in our next video, I am going to reveal something even more surprising. The 5 specific foods that are silently stiffening your arteries right now that almost every health-conscious senior is still eating because they have been told they are healthy. Trust me, you will want to see that one. And drop a comment below telling me which of these 5 strategies you are going to try first, and let me know, do you currently struggle more with cold extremities, brain fog, or low energy? Your answer will help me create the content that helps you most. I am Dr. Sarah Miller. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Your circulation and your health are worth the attention. I will see you in the next one.